Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron for Kalterkrieg as Germany let us continue on for last left off. So, we've kind of gone over all of the base of the mod, right? Cold War, Kaiserreich. We looked at the influence system, we looked at the Reichstag. I'm not too sure how exactly I want to move forward into this campaign, right? I'm not too sure. I don't even know what political paths we can take. But, We'll kind of see. Outrage from the moderates. Moderate delegates from the Zentrum, the BVP, the LVP, and the SPD have all announced Breto's speech, claiming he is trying to snuff out the remaining sparks of German democracy. While there are plenty in the DNEF who will admit behind closed doors that they're right, of course, they feel that it is an embarrassing outcome of the speech that there has been a public hue and cry about the move towards a more centralized government being tarred in such negative terms. Danubia has the A-bomb. With Germany continuing development on atomic weapons, there's no doubt that the Canadian government is also pursuing atomic weapons. The Danubians today have joined a nuclear club as well. The detonation of Danubian designed and manufactured device at the Hetman testing ground in Windhoek, German Southwest Africa, has confirmed the Federation's great power status, with General Luther Renderlich for the military and several notable Danubian scientists, including Leo Slezjard, Ede Teller, and Ezra Rona, in attendance alongside their colleagues from German Nuclear Command. By all accounts, however, this fission device is only the first step in Danubia's nuclear arsenal, with hushed talks of a H-Garat being pursued. In a joint announcement to the press with the Minister-President Wilhelm Miklas, Kaiser Otto said that Danubia will seek to means by which to keep the hard-won peace. So you are now also a nuclear power. Does that do anything for this? Nuclear dominance. We are slightly more influential. We got 2 more points, and I'm not too sure. Maybe that's because Danubia also has the bomb. Nuclear dominance. Currently, neither faction has an advantage over the other. Over the other in this category. Last month, neither faction gained influence in this category. So I'm guessing that just depends on like how many bombs I have, how many bombs Canada has, so on and so forth. Kind of spy to Moscow. Volodymyr Peter Zvonik, the long-term Prime Minister of Serbia and predator to the authoritarian November 6 dictatorship, that has governed Serbia since the Karl Dodis restoration, died last night at the age of 69. Zvonik was long considered to be the staunchest Karl Dodis loyalist in Serbia, having engineered 2 coups to keep the royal family in control of Belgrade. Okay, reclaimer or tyrant. Serbia is kind of outside of our jurisdiction. They are not aligned with us. They are not aligned with Russia, I don't believe. But they're kind of outside our jurisdiction. We don't have any sway there. If you look at, alignment, Romania, economic times. Bulgaria has political ties. Serbia is just kind of doing its own thing. Even Greece is actually a member of the Entente. Serbia is like a little, it's like not a black sheep of Europe, but he's kind of just doing his own thing. Now, I don't like that. I would much prefer if Serbia was pro-me. But, I mean, I can't win everybody, unfortunately. As nice as that would be. I can't win everyone's heart and mind. I can't win everybody's heart and soul. I can try, but I will fail. An intriguing communique has come from the upper echelons of the Russian government. It appears a significant faction is formed to seek peace. This could be an opportunity to demilitarize the eastern border somewhat. We should be open with our demands and see where it leads. Our previous borders must be restored. Now, I'm going to take a guess and say that is not going to happen. I would be stunned if any Russian government, even the most pro-German one, would willingly hand over any amount of territory to Germany without facing basically a revolution at home. Like that's not going to happen. In any way, shape, or form. You know what? We can probably actually hide these. While there's no vote, we don't need to be looking at that stuff. It's just clogging up it's just clogging this stuff up. We don't care about you. Don't care about you. Because again, your war support, and that's not really what we need. You need us to complete the Neustadt reforms and the collapse of the Grand Coalition. Today, the Zentrum and the BVP formally pulled out their support from the Grand Coalition, causing the collapse of the coalition. The decision was controversial but absolute, with the rump of the DKP and the DVLP our only sitting representatives in the Reichstag, which puts support of the government in the House into a precarious position. It is a heavy blow to the Reichschancellor von Peter's DENF administration. The Conservatives have left the party. I mean, we still have decent support. I mean, we're currently at, what is that? Like 43%, 44%. So almost half, which isn't horrible. And we don't need the Conservatives anyway. They're stinky and they're full of doo-doo. We don't need them, right? We just need the pure power of the of our coalition. Yeah, 45% here. Okay, quarterly growth. The Economics of the German Empire has recently published a new report. The details of the German economy is doing. Okay, growth set out is 0.5%. It's at 1.03, 0.5% of the current number of civilian factories, modified by construction speed, modified by a random course rate infrastructure. We get one civilian factory. We're not 30. Economic power. Okay, so we're spending more money. We have better international standing with more economic power. So that's why we're at 30 points here. Let's just say the Entente sucks and they're stinky and they're not good at being a real threat to our global hegemony. So for our next spy, we will send you to Toronto. Is there somewhere in here that actually shows the economy? The Congress of Nations. Okay, so I'm assuming this is this is the UN. Current vote is on nothing. Member states, Germany, Canada, Danubia, UK. Basically, exactly everyone who you would expect. The Council of 3, Danubia, Canada, and Germany. So this is probably the Security Council. 7 people are in the Senate right now. And presumably that will grow with time. Meeting with the ministries. After the ending of the Grand Coalition, the DENEF has been scrambling to tap civil servants and to ensure the civil service is able to provide the needed information and advice to the governing executive. The DNEF has managed to solidify command of the state apparatus to such a point that the falling out of the Grand Coalition partners is actually demonstrating the resilience of our organization. If the state can survive the failure of the Democratic Alliance government, then perhaps it's no longer needed, surely. The Einsch Front marches on. But let's see, how many seats do we actually have? Well, this one still says DKP supports us, so we have... With only 102 seats out of 415, and we're still like a pretty solid government position... Honestly, I mean, this is mostly because we have the Enabling Act. Like, I think the moment the Enabling Act would expire, we're going to get kicked out of government immediately. By probably a coalition of, like, the SPD, and probably, like, the more liberal or left-wing aligned parties here. The Deutsche Heer. The Deutsche Heer is the largest army in the world. Standing victorious with 2 of the most elite and battle-hardened generations of commanders and soldiers after successfully prosecuted victories in 2 brutal Weltkriegs. Of course, now that the war has been won, it is time for the conscripts to return home and the military expenditure reduced accordingly in order to reap the dividends of peace. Needless to say, this action will face stiff opposition from much of the high command, who call out and speak publicly of the remaining wary of the Russian intentions of Eastern Europe and their advances Entente powers who lurk at the borders of our sphere. Their natural inclination is to look forward to fight and win the next war. They're still sore about their lack of chance to retain control over the Germany to Asia, but it doesn't hurt to have some of the world's finest minds and general staff working to keep the country safe. So did that disband some of our units? No, we're still at 16 out of 30 for all of our units. I know we're not training any units right now, but honestly, I don't know if that's necessary. Yeah, military spending currently is at 60. How is this... Okay. The current ledger shows the value of 1 civilian factory per deployed entity. 40 battalions, 80 support battalions, 2 carriers, 5 battleships, 40 frigates. So 60 factories upkeep all of this. Each battalion has a base cost of 1 civilian factory per 40 battalions. We currently have 1,280. It costs 1 civilian factories per 2 carriers and frigates, costing at least 1 factory per 20 frigates. For jet models, cost 1 civilian factory per 100. Jet fighters are 1 for 250. For strategic bombers... Okay, so basically jet fighters are more expensive than shitty ones. I guess that makes sense. Then 1 civilian factory per 80 support division. I kind of like this, I like the idea of having a military spending. Is there anywhere else that we can see? Is there any, like, new tabs? This is the maximum number of factories that can be assigned to building repairs. Okay, I mean, that's actually kind of neat that you can just directly assign factories to repair stuff. We're not going to do that right now, because these are going to be finished in April anyways. This will resolve it in due time. But, you know, this kind of mechanic, I would actually like to see this in base Kaiserreich, or any mod, really. I think that's neat. Russia, blustering. Russians say they cannot possibly have suffered such a loss and not even retain some of their gains. Perhaps we should be willing to compromise on our position. The clock is running down and we face war if we do not come to some agreement. The minimalist camp states that we should request the Ukraine with further negotiations at the treaty table. The Maxists say that we should remind the Russians who has harnessed the power of the atom. Our words are backed by nuclear weapons, or we should discuss getting Ukraine back. Let's talk about Ukraine first. We'll be a little minimalist. I don't know how the Russians will feel if we're just like, hey, by the way, we'll just like nuke Moscow. Like, it might work, but it also might backfire horrendously. Marseille has announced a government. Last week, it was confirmed by Marseille that President Albert Start has finalized his cabinet and is ready to make government public. The hardline party radical members and former Prime Minister Edward Herrot was appointed as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, as it was believed that he was the best person for the job, especially having worked in the pre-WWII era. The up-and-coming Bertrand de Jovenel was selected as the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs. It's hoped that his reforms policies will kickstart the economy. Emile Hughes was sworn in as Minister of Justice, another old guard politician for the WWII era. Edward Daladier was confirmed as the new Minister of the Interior. Rounding out the appointments was Pierre Bollet as the General Director of the SDECE. Okay, French liberalism has returned to the mainland. Again, France is kind of important because, you know, they are directly on our border. We occupy half their country, including Paris. So it's very possible that they will not be happy with us. The Bristol incident. Early in this morning, a rather large protest formed in the Bristol city centre, organized by members of the Revolutionary Syndicalist League, one of the many movements born out of the fallout of Mosley's chaotic capitulation. The protest was meant to be a peaceful one. Publicly, the leaders of the rally were simply opposing the continued German presence on the British Isles, especially with the smoldering wreckage of Portsmouth so clear in the citizens' memory. With the Hare Company already garrisoning the city under General Field Marshal Mackeson's orders, the streets of Bristol turned into a powder keg. The protest turned into a bloodbath, with German soldiers firing indiscriminately upon the civilians. It's unclear what triggered the quagmire, but the excessive force directly correlates with the Mackeson's brutal occupation of the region. Britain's people have been set alight with Germanophobia following the international incident. We can't simply recall Mackeson's army from the position of power, especially as Britain hasn't paid for its damages they caused during the Second WWII. However, it looks like we won't have to act first, as the national government is organizing official talks between London and Berlin to deal with the crisis. So it looks like we occupy the southern half of England. I'm assuming is there a lingering German occupation. I think playing UK, I don't think they really have a complete tree right now. Because again, I said that there's 4 countries that have full trees and a couple countries that have like partial trees. I think the UK would be a very interesting country to play, potentially in the future. Now, actually, speaking of this mod and future series, probably back to back, we'll be doing all 4 of the major trees. You know, Germany, Danubia, New England, and Canada. I don't know what order we're going to do that in because, again, we have like 2 different American campaigns and 1 Canadian campaign already undergoing right now. So we'll probably do Danubia right afterwards, but we'll see. Anyway, Labour has won the 1948 Australasian elections. Reports are now arriving about the results of the recent Australasian elections, with the Labour Party securing enough votes to control the government for the next 3 years, and in the UAP's country's 9-year streak in power. Labour returns to governance following the failed internal syndicalist coup of 36, and the subsequent UAP dominance since. Promising to an end to the persecution of unions, aid for the Australasian people, and the support for greater autonomy of New Zealand. They have gained enough support from the Australasian people to take charge of the nation into the future. Okay. You know, let's actually take a look at some of the other places in the world. The Empire of Vietnam, again, they're all part of the East Asian Prosperity Sphere. China is currently split between the Beiyang government and the Guangzhou government. Unity government, we got Clique. Mongolia is currently occupied by the Russians. Australia, of course, is in the Entente. And we do see there's like a handful of smaller countries in kind of like southern India here. Probably broke away from the Princely Federation. Because, I mean, the Republic of India, their capital is in Calcutta. So I'm assuming this is the successor state to the Bharatiya Commune. and that the Party Commune kind of disintegrated with the collapse of the European syndicalist nations. So that they kind of shifted to be more moderate following the collapse of Europe. Now, I don't know if that's actually true, but the fact that their capital's in Calcutta is what making me think that. Aside from that, you know, Middle Africa is still a thing. South America is still South America. Looks like the syndicalists, of course, did lose in there as well. Because I think there's only like 2 socialist countries. There's Mexico and Norway. And Norway, it's kind of funny that they're actually in the Entente. Oh, there's something. Can I click this? Okay, so this is like how integrated they are into our, yeah, so they're at level 1, then you're at level 2, then you hit level 3, and then you're at level 4 when you're a full member. Okay. Interesting. Okay, cool. There's a lot of, like, secret buttons that you can just press. Kind of hidden throughout all all the tabs. So it's nice. It's like finding a little treat in between the cushions, like a little bit of popcorn that's been there for 4 months. Just a little treat to reward you for cleaning your couch. You just get a little, just a little nibble of popcorn there. Kaiser Wilhelm II's dreadnoughts. The Kriegsmarine is one of the largest fleets in the on a quantitative basis, but numbers can be deceiving. Kaiser Wilhelm II's greatest project, while seriously world class, is in fact the 2nd tier fighting force. This was made painfully evident during the war, where the Japanese aircraft carriers and their support fleets were able to dance around our vaunted dreadnoughts, picking them off with ease. Our fleet is large, but almost useless, unable to operate outside of range of a land-based aircraft thanks to the emergence of naval aviation. Plenty of work must be done to restore the Kriegsmarine to its former glory. We cannot expect to operate as a global superpower when we have a fleet that cannot effectively protect power outside of the North Sea. Okay, so we got dealing with the dreadnought issue. We can't do any of this stuff quite yet. And when are you done? You got 7 more days. You're almost finished. And then we might want to let's get maybe some press reform after this as well. That seems useful. An invite to the Oxford Conference. Over the past few weeks, the British have hastily organized a diplomatic conference to finally deal with the Maxim's extra-legal occupation of southern England. The reason Maxim's army has remained on the Isles is obvious to both parties. The secure reparations stemming from the wartime damages done by the Union of Britain. As the Union imploded last year, the United Kingdom is now the successor government, and thus we are at least entitled to negotiate a settlement with Eden's government. In addition, with our nuclear weapons backing our words, we may be able to go further than simple reparations. Foreign Minister Constantine von Neurath's aim is to dismantle the British war economy, secure our position in Europe. Whatever happens, we've been given an official invite to attend the conference. Observers in Canada and France have also been invited. However, diplomatic discussions will be purely between us and London. Neurath will be joined in Oxford by Crown Prince Wilhelm, as the Kaiser wishes not to attend the conference for personal reasons. The pair will fly to Oxford tomorrow, flanked with a large delegation of diplomats. Ferdinand van Brederode is confident that the two will be able to negotiate a good settlement for Germany, either through diplomacy or more threatening means. What would our demands even be? I mean, I guess to limit how many military factions the UK has would be my best guess. Because it's not like they have like a colonial empire. Like, what else could they possibly give us other than dismantling their own economy to dismantling their wartime economy? Maybe, I guess, scuttling some of their boats, maybe selling their ships to us could maybe be an idea as well, but I'm not too sure how exactly that'll work for us. It might actually go kind of bad. An extension. Our best intelligence agents have reported that Savinkov is sick and that he is busily pursuing defeatist within the country. He'll never sign a treaty. Indeed, if he were not cooperated by this group of men, we could be certain that he'd seek to violate the fragile peace in the East. This troika we're negotiating with assures us, however, that they will sign a treaty as soon as he's out of the way. Given that the Entente threat on our flank, and the political situation in regards to ending the Enabling Act, and the fact that we are finally at peace, it seems that the Russians look set to tear themselves apart for some time yet. We will extend the armistice for some time, for the time being. So we get more stability. Mobilization speed is going to go up. So, I mean, this is overall just like a kind of like a good thing for us. Now, I don't know. I'm assuming negotiations then went well. It's just that Savinkov hates us, and they're obsessed with getting nuclear weapons, which I mean I guess makes sense. The belligerent nation. Do they have a focus tree? A very, very small one. Okay. Our demands. With the pleasantries out of the way, the time has come to probably sit down at the negotiating table. The Brits so far haven't demanded too much, only that we withdraw their occupation forces from the southern regions, and some minor commercial agreements to sweeten the deal. Of course, however, we will want our boys to come home. We also know that this will nullify our sacrifices if we just let the British rearm in peace. To this end, we are preparing a vast checklist of concessions the Brits must make in return for our withdrawal. Military restrictions, port demilitarization, the recognition of African colonial protectorates, and a greater opening of the British economy to German goods. So that may seem harsh, but we did bleed much during the war. And now that we have guarded our place in the sun, we must make sure we remain there for as long as possible. And a strong Britain goes directly against that goal, given our historical opposition to continental hegemons. The Tommies must know their place, absolutely. You let a Brit, you give the Brit a mile, they'll take a kilometer. We can't allow that to happen. Not our Germany. Anyway, I think it's going to be a good time for us to end this episode. So if you enjoyed, thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.